Hello there, I am Galadite74, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys the tier list that I've been wanting to make for Pokemon Unite. Now, before I get into anything, it sounds like I'm recording out of nowhere. That's because I sorta am. I'm actually currently streaming this live on my Twitch, which is going to be linked in the description below. I haven't really uploaded it in a bit on the channel, and who knows, I might not even upload this. But on Twitch, I'm generally a lot more laid back and a lot more loose, so I don't have like a script. And I didn't really plan out today's video. I've been wanting to make Pokemon Unite content for quite a bit now. It's the game I'm definitely into the most at the moment, even more than Draft. And yeah, I didn't really want to do a tier list to start off because again, I'm kind of just bootlegging this. And there's like tier lists all over YouTube about Pokemon Unite, so whatever. Again, this might not see YouTube, but it will definitely see Twitch. So make sure to go check that out. But yeah, we're gonna do like a competitive tier list. I am currently a support main in like low masters, so you know, like I kind of know what I kind of know what's up, but there are some characters I'm more aware of than others. So just keep that in mind. Like something, for example, like Eldegoss. Like I know almost everything about Eldegoss, so I think I can rate that pretty fairly. So let's start with supports. Frankly, I think all of them are pretty decent. What I use in order is actually pretty close to this. So, this is what I play in order. Obviously, I'm an Eldegoss main, but I also play Wiggly a lot and Mime quite a bit. Haven't really played Blissey too much. Right now, in terms of how good or bad I think they are, I think I'll put Eldegoss up in like high A. Also, I'm going to try and rank them within their tier, though I'm not going to be as touchy on that. Eldegoss is really good and pretty consistent throughout a game. I think Cotton Guard is really nice, along with either Leaf Tornado and Pollen Puff. I know Leaf Tornado just got nerfed, but I think the speed is still really crucial, especially in team play and coordinated play. I think that could be very, very powerful. And then just the recovery that Cotton Guard does. If you don't go speed, you can go Pollen Puff, and then Pollen Puff plus Cotton Guard just heals a million. So very reliable. Still does reasonable damage. It's not, you know, DPS support like this one here, but it's still a very solid mon to have on a team. Wiggly, I'll put it high A for now. I think Wigglytuff is definitely a little bit better than Eldegoss. And I say that because I think Sing is like broken. It's not like there are ways to counter Sing full heal. I know Safeguard Blissey is a really good counter to that, and just mons that have constant ways to be unstoppable. But if the opposing team doesn't have that, then Wiggly is a really strong crowd control component. Dazzling Gleam and Double Slap are pretty nice, though I think Sing rollout is really where this Pokemon shines, especially I think Sing. Really strong utility to have on a team, a crazy amount of health, so it's really hard to kind of blow up Wigglytuff. So yeah, it's nice. I guess it's pretty good actually. Mime, I'm scared to put things in S. I think I'll just put it in A again. I'm gonna put it here actually. Again, this is subject to change. I will tweak with this after, but Mime also pretty decent mon. Very, I think, hard to use compared to Eldegoss and Wiggly, though I think it still has its perks. Light Screen, or not light, well, yeah, Light Screen early game, Barrier, Confusion is super strong. Definitely the DPS support out of these four. It's just insane burst damage. Like, it does half to you even in mid-game. As a support, that's insane. Barrier could be helpful, though eject button is still kinda nuts, so maybe not as strong. But that burst combo, if you can get it down, then Mr. Mime is really good. I say it's harder to use because if you're not good with that, then it is a little bit less. It's like, if you're not good with Light Screen Confusion, it goes down. But because that exists, I think it's really good. You can also set up plays with it, which is pretty nice. I think I actually do want to put this in S tier. It's just super strong if you have a good Mr. Mime player. Actually, I'll move it above Wiggly. That's okay. We'll put it there for now. Finally, I'll put Blissey. Blissey's still good. I'm going to put it in B tier for now. And the reason I'm putting that is just because it's pretty passive. The damage compared to these three isn't nearly as good. And these three, well, at least these two, already don't put up as much damage. But it's kind of nice. It's kind of niche in a sense that it does kind of counter certain picks, like the Wiggly Sing. The heal is pretty nice, though Eldegoss does that basically just as well. I think Blissey's Unite move is super good, so I'll give that to it. In fact, all the Unite moves from the supports are very good. It's just Eldegoss, but less damage. So yeah, there's kind of that. That's why it's still good, but it's not as good. So those are the supports. I probably talked on for too long. I guess we'll do the category I'm next most comfortable with, and that is speedsters. I guess we'll just go in order here. Gengar. Gengar was a mon I used for a little bit, and I'm going to put it in C tier. And the reason I'm going to put it in C is because it's not like it's completely unusable. The issue is it has to be right in your face to kind of do anything. And I haven't touched Gengar in a bit, if I'll be completely honest with you. I used the Sludge Bomb Hex combo within the first 2 weeks of the game's launch, and that was strong. But now, the more we think of the more I look at it, it's that you're not doing enough damage to compensate the damage you're taking. Gengar is very frail, and the damage just isn't really enough. So if anyone on their team with high damage targets you while you're attacking, you're really not going to win that 1v1. So I think Gengar kind of struggles in that sense. And if it doesn't have jungle buffs, which, I mean, all 4 of these speedsters sort of have that problem. Without jungle buffs, they're only so strong. They're not going to be doing as much. Absol, I'm going to put it in the same boat. I'm going to put it a little bit above Gengar. I might put it in low B, actually. I'll put it in low B, just because I think Absol's burst damage is a lot more impressive. It still has the same problems. It's very frail, just like Gengar. If it uses all of its cooldowns and it doesn't get a kill, it's kind of screwed. But Jungle Absol early on is super, super strong with the crit ratio being so high, the crit chance. The moves Absol gets are really nice. The only thing Absol struggles with, and Gengar does as well, is very late game, its damage falls off quite a bit. So similar to Gengar, I just think its burst damage is a little bit better. Talonflame. Talonflame is the speedster I'm the most comfortable with, and I think it is very strong. I'm going to put it up in the high A. And I think at the end of this, actually, I will put I'm not going to put anything in S, and then I'll put, my top 8 candidates, I'll move some of them up to S. The thing is, Absol's burst damage was better than Gengar's. I think Talonflame's is a little bit better. And on top of that, Talonflame can actually get out compared to Absol. Unless you really use your cooldowns poorly, you can go in and assassinate something and potentially get out quite a bit of the time. Especially if you're jungler, which is really, really good to have. Your ultimate is also another ability that gets you out of things and can also be used to displace people. So, also very, very helpful. The damage, I remember always bitching about the damage of Talonflame's ult, which still isn't the strongest. You get a little bit of a warning, but the displacement is admittedly pretty strong. Finally, we have Zeraora. This is a tough one because Zera used to be like right around here with Talonflame, but it's gotten nerfed into the ground quite a bit. I still think I'll rank it A, but I'm gonna give it like a low A. The discharge damage I'm finally like starting to notice. I think they nerfed it once before, and I didn't really notice it, but they nerfed it again in this latest patch, and it's definitely noticeable now. Jungle Zera, it's still strong. It's a little bit less frailer compared to the other 3, at least in my experience. Zera has a little bit more bulk to it, which is pretty nice. The Unite move is really strong still, and unlike Absol, Gengar, a little bit Talonflame, but not really Talonflame. Unlike Absol and Gengar, Zera's damage doesn't really fall off too hard in the end game, so that's what makes Zera, I think, still a low tier A pick. That's the speedsters. And next we're going to talk about defenders. I'll talk about Crustle first. Crustle is actually the only defender I play. I know how all these work, but it's the only one I actually play. And Crustle is like, it's a solid B tier mon, I think here. I'll put it above Blissey. It's like a high tier B. And the reason I say that is because the movement Crustle has is pretty crazy for a defender. The only one with movement like that is Greedent. I guess Blastoise, sorta. But it's really nice to have. I think the potential with Crustle's kit is really strong. Its Unite move is really good to steal objectives, as well as just having... I run Fluffy Tail on it, which is super helpful a lot. Stealth Rock, Rock Tomb could be a thing. With all the movement, I don't use that set, but I could definitely see that being really annoying for certain teams and certain mons. Shell Smash I think is really strong with X-Scissor though, just because you can run the extra... I run attack weight, so I get an extra boost to be a little bit more of an offensive threat. And especially with Shell Smash damage and your basic attacks being boosted now, the damage is pretty nice. Though it's not broken either, so it's a nice balance, and it can definitely fit a role on a team that, while others fit it as well, I think the speed's really nice. Next is, I'm going to skip Snorlax for now. Let's going to go Blastoise. Blastoise was initially an A for me, but I think now it's kind of very similar to Crustle, as it has the movement speed, it has the objective stealing capability. The knockback is that Blastoise does with its moves is kind of annoying, but it's not... The damage really isn't too scary like it used to be. I think they nerfed it. So it's very similar to Crustle. I don't have too much else to say about it. Yeah, that's kind of it. Next, let's talk about Slowbro. Slowbro, personally, I'll put it here. I'll put it under Gang. I'll put it above Gengar. The reason Slowbro's tough because Slowbro is a mon I could definitely see being super strong when you're coordinating with like the whole rest of your team, because I think its Unite move is very strong in that sense. But when you're solo queuing as a Slowbro, I just don't see that combo potential with Slowbro really happening. And without that, I think Slowbro is pretty weak, because it's definitely one of the more frailer defenders. The damage isn't too impressive, and it doesn't have that much movement. So when you take all that out, it doesn't really stand out as anything else that's unique. Again, its really unique factor is the Unite move and whatever move that does the same thing. That's not the Unite. But again, it's not that good in solo queue. Greedent, super strong still. I'll put it here. Movement, just like Crustle, very fast. Greedent's actually pretty frail in retrospect, but the thing is, it can recover like all of its health back in the snap of a finger, unlike Slowbro, so it definitely gives you that. Greedent doesn't really stun you, but it does a lot of damage as well. So you have high DPS, high speed, not much bulk, but you can also recover a lot. So that's three real good factors right there. And especially when you use the Unite move, that damage is kind of crazy. So we haven't seen, again, I haven't been running in the Greedent as much recently, but I still think it's a very strong pick. Mamoswine and Snorlax, I actually don't know much about Mamo, to be completely honest with you. I have ran into a bit more of them recently with the new buff, so I'm going to actually put it into, I think, a low A spot. Being able to freeze your opponent, I think, is really valuable. One form of CC to have. You have kind of movement, but not really. Again, the big thing is just CC and being able to freeze. The damage is kind of nice. It's not as good as Greedent, but I think it's a little bit better than Crustle. So that's why I rate it slightly higher. And when you use your Unite move, you don't die, basically. So, and then finally, Snorlax. Snorlax is... Okay, Snorlax actually, I'm going to put right here. I think it's a little bit better than Mamo as well. The reason I say that is it's similar to Slowbro, as it definitely has really good playmaking potential with like Heavy Slam and Block particularly. I think they're super nice. The thing is though, you can still make plays like solo with those moves. Slowbro, you just hold them. You don't do much damage. With the Snorlax, you stun them yourself and then you can start attacking them. And you are pretty thick. Definitely more bulkier than the Greedent. But again, Greedent recovers health back, while Lax doesn't do that as much. You also have Yawn as an option, which is pretty strong, just, you know, another control option. And its Unite is pretty strong as well. So, that's Lax. We have two more categories. Let's do the all-rounders. Okay, this is the role I know about the least, though I've been running into a lot of all-rounders recently. Let's start with Garchomp. Contrary to popular opinion, I'm not going to put this in D. I'm going to put this in C. I'll put it both. I don't think Gengar's that good, guys. But we'll put it here. I think the damage, the consistent damage that Garchomp can put out late game is pretty strong. The issue this mon has is early game Gibble isn't really the greatest. It's not terrible. Like Machop early game is really bad, but like Gibble early game isn't that great, but it's not that bad either. It just puts out consistent damage. There's not too much burst damage with Garchomp. Its Unite move's a little bit sus, but still not that bad. The ability to shred objectives is pretty nice, and the AoE damage is pretty nice too. I ran Earthquake Dig when I used Garchomp for a bit. I haven't played Garchomp in forever, so it's just okay. You know what I mean? Lucario next. I think I'll put it like right here. Lucario is still super strong despite the nerfs it got. I think that the biggest nerf it got was actually the indirect one, in which when you score you get a lot of health back. Now that you don't, I think that does hurt Lucario quite a bit, but its survivability is still super strong. Its damage is very consistent, and its Unite move is kind of ass, but again, survivability is really key. And it's just all around just a really nice mon. I don't know too much about Lucario either, like using it wise. Obviously, I've gone up against Lucario a bunch, so I know how to play against it. But using it, I'm not too familiar with it. Charizard, let's put Charizard. I'll put it high B, and the reason I put it high B is it kind of suffers from like early game because like Charmanders and Charmeleon are kind of whatever. It does consistent damage, but the damage isn't really that strong, to be honest. It doesn't really gain. It gains kind of much health. The big thing about Zard is its Unite. I personally think its Unite is really good in the sense that you can 1v1 anything with it. The damage, it goes from being kind of whatever to super strong, and landing attacks and just it gains all that shield is really nice using its Unite move. So I'll give it a B. It's a pretty nice pick, but I can't really put it anything higher than that. Machamp, I'm gonna put it also in B for a very, actually I'll put it low A. Put it for very different reasons. Machamp is like CC Central. All it does is crowd control you, which is very annoying. The good thing is that if you stay out of range of Machamp, it can't really do too much to you. I think its Unite move is kind of hard to use, but if you hit the Unite move, then again, just CC Central. But Machamp's strong in that sense. It's just I think there's better options. As we're gonna get to some of them now. Dragonite. Dragonite just came out. This is the off Dragonite patch. I put it around Lucario. They're pretty different mons. The damage numbers I've seen from Dragonite come out have been very surprising, and it's kind of thrown me off because it doesn't really feel like Dragonite does much, but then it goes out and like gets like a 6k or something, you know what I mean? It's kind of one of those mons. So not exactly sure where that all comes from. I think its Unite is super useful as you get to control how like much percentage you use, how much damage you're doing. I think that's really strong. Hyper Beam is really strong to have. Dragon Dance movement's pretty good. Unlike the other all-arounders, excuse me, early game Dratini and Dragonair are decent, so it doesn't really have to like build up to become a Dragonite. So I'll give it that. And it's all around pretty nice, actually. Yeah, I think that's a good place to put it. Finally, I said I wasn't gonna put anything in S, but Serena's going up there. Serena's still busted. They nerfed Triple Axel in the latest patch, but it doesn't really matter. They need to adjust Queenly Majesty because the recovery that Serena gets back from its moves is quite insane. So you can run Stomp now over Triple Axel and it still works. I guess if you play out of Serena's range, then it's a little bit less scary, but it's, you know, Serena's going to get into your range somehow. So the damage is also just nuts. So It's like Greedent, but just better. So, and Greedent, you see where Greedent's at on this tier list. So that is the all-arounders. Finally, we'll do the attackers. Let's start with Venusaur. Venusaur is definitely really good right now. I think its attacks are super strong. Solar Beam is really nice to have because you can hit something from a mile away. Only a few mons can do that, and it does a lot of damage. Sludge Bomb lets you control an area, and I think it's Giga Drain heals. You heal so much back from Giga Drain, it's insane. And Petal Dance is just, you can't play in its range either because that exists. Oh, and its Unite move is really strong. So all around, Venusaur is really good. There's not really a bad thing about Venusaur to say. There's just like no flaw with it. Gardevoir, I'll put it like right here. The reason I put Gardevoir there is because they just did nerf it a little bit. Maybe I'll lower it a bit, but Psyshock is still super strong. Moonblast is one of the most like broken moves in the game because that's like the freest stun ever. That's gonna actually I'm gonna move that up one. So Psyshock Moonblast is just an insane kit to have, and then Gardevoir's Unite is the strongest in the game. I refuse to believe otherwise. You trap someone in, that's a kill. Like it's a kill. I don't know if anyone plays Overwatch here. It's like Zarya's Graviton Surge, except it does like 75% of your health. It's crazy. Damage this thing puts out is insane. The only reason this thing is not S tier, in my opinion, is because early game Braults is a little bit weak. And Curly is kind of strong with Psyshock, but the other flaw with it is that if you get like in its face, because I know like Absol is one of its best counters because you just walk at it, and it doesn't really do much to you unless you get Moonblasted. I'm gonna do Gren and Cinderace together because I think they're very similar mons. I'm gonna put them right here. Also extremely strong. The consistent damage they put out is kind of nuts. I personally like Gren a little bit more. Cinderace puts out a little bit more damage, but I think Gren's got the mobility and the I think playmaking to kind of. It's got playmaking and mobility over Cinderace, but Cinderace has got slightly better damage, and their Unites are basically like the exact same thing. So let's just chalk that up as the same. I use Double Team Water Shuriken. Super strong because the Water Shuriken from the other Krens do just as much damage. A little bit harder to use. Cinderace is hard because it's a little bit fairer to use, and you can just kind of get jumped on. But again, the damage is just crazy. And early game, both, at least I know Reboot's pretty strong, as well as Scorbunny. So throughout the whole game, they're just really strong options. Cramorant next. I have not ran into a Cramorant in forever, to be completely honest with you guys. Cramorant it's weird because I'm gonna put it in C because I remember at launch Cramorant was pretty strong. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I think it got nerfed somehow. But I was watching a few Cramorant videos recently just to kind of up my knowledge, and a lot of Cramorant's kits, like, it doesn't seem that good. The damage is not that bad. Here, I'll give you an example. Fly Flame Charge from Talonflame is perfect. They synergize together because you can either use it all for mobility, you can use it for burst damage. They combo well. Cramorant's moves don't really combo well together. The only thing that Cramorant I think is really strong about it is its Unite, and even then, I think the damage, it's not as strong as I thought it was, but I think just the ability to hold off an area is pretty valuable. I'll talk about Decidueye next because it's a very similar mon to Cram. I have an unpopular opinion. I don't think Decidueye is that good. I'll put it like right here in B. It's like Cram but a little bit better because it's got the range. I know Spirit Shackle just got buffed recently, so I don't know how that plays out too much. Unite it's like Cram's. Decidueye is super vulnerable. It's using its Unite, so I don't know if that's like really a good thing. The damage is pretty strong though, and Rowlet doing consistent damage early game is pretty cool, so I'll give it that. It's not all bad. Pikachu. They also just buffed Pikachu recently, and Pikachu's been kind of popping off recently. I'll put it high B. And the reason I'll do that is because I think the damage, I am starting to feel the changes a bit. You can actually, like, the damage. Early on, Pikachu is pretty strong. Its Unite move is pretty good. It's kind of like Zera's a bit. The issue with Pikachu is that it is still quite frail, and it doesn't have the crazy amount of movement. At least I don't think it does. And I still think its damage does drop off a bit near the end game, so it's not crazy strong. It's still good, but it's not overwhelming or anything. But I think definitely with the buff, Pikachu early and mid game definitely is quite decent now. So that's why I'll give it some props there. Ninetales, another mon I'm not actually too familiar with, to be honest. It's got that nice CC factor and being able to freeze. I'll put it here for now. Again, I'm going to go back and tweak with this. I think the ability just to CC and freeze things 24/7 as base is really valuable. Damage is nice. It's not overwhelming, but it's still pretty good. Unite move it's okay. And it's just kind of there. I don't know. I don't know much about Ninetales, so that's just me being that. Finally, Sylveon, a mon I do know about. I'll put it in this range. I'll put Sylveon. I think Guard's a little bit better than Sylveon right now, personally. I use Sylveon a lot. It's the attacker I use the most, so it definitely have the most experience. Being able to have Hyper Voice by level 4 is crazy. So if you kind of invest into your EV Sylveon early on, then Sylveon is super strong. Damage doesn't really fall off, maybe a little bit at the end game, but it's still pretty strong. A little bit hard to use because you can't like turn, you can't cancel Hyper Voice or anything, so you know, use it at the wrong time, then it kind of sucks. But otherwise, I keep mentioning Hyper Voice because I think that's Sylveon, because Mystical Fire is kind of whatever. I don't think Draining Kiss is that good. I use Calm Mind with it, and Calm Mind's okay. Finally, Sylveon's Unite moves kind of just get out of jail card. Damages whatever. It's just meant to kind of keep you alive, which is helpful, but it's not as good as Guards. But anyway, let me tweak with this a bit. This is my first impression. I think Serena is definitely the best mon in the game. I think I'm gonna move Cinderace up to S. I think I'll do this too. Yeah, I think all three of those options are just super strong. Talonflame, I think I'm just gonna keep an A. Yeah. So we'll keep these four in S. We'll keep, and then we'll start from A, because again, Talonflame has enough flaws to it to where it's not S warrant. Because, for example, like without Jungle, Talonflame's not that great. So we'll leave it at that. S tier looks good. This looks about right. I won't do that. CC is like weird because I think CC is super strong, but if that's like the only thing going, or like definitely like that's why I have Machamp and Ninetales right together here, because like they're just that's what I think about when I see these two mons. It's just CC, which is super strong, but that's like they're really only really good quality. I say that about Wiggly too, but Wiggly's got a few other good qualities to it as well. Honestly, I might put, yeah, I'll do this actually. I'll move these down to B just for that reason alone actually now. But yeah, that is my Pokemon Unite tier list. But hope you guys enjoyed for YouTube. I hope you guys enjoyed. Check out my Twitch, link in the description below. For the people here in Twitch, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate the support you guys have been giving me today.